This is from Warren Sharp, Sharp Football. Best secondaries for 2024 in the NFL has the Browns ranked number 1, Jets 2, Dolphins 3, Bears 4, Cowboys 5. Majority of the depth chart returns from a unit that allowed just 6.4 yards per attempt when the front 7 failed to generate pressure. League's third best rate. Quincy, I can't argue with anybody that says the secondary is best in the NFL. I think the corners and the safeties, both pretty deep. I want to see Juan Thornhill healthy because I think he played probably 80% last year with that calf injury.
And I think Ron Thornhill did a good job in run defense last year. I just don't think he was the playmaker in coverage that a lot of people hoped that he'd be. But it's important to remember, Juan Thornhill was never like an ace coverage player, even in Kansas City. So you just got to taper your expectations to what the player actually is. I don't think he's one of those guys who's going to be an elite pass coverage guy there. But they don't need him to be an elite pass coverage guy because you have these elite cover corners, right? You have Denzel Ward, you have Martin Emerson, and I think those two are elite. I think Denzel is kind of in a class in the kind of top shelf of corners in the NFL. But I would say Martin, I mean, like, it wouldn't shock me if he made a all-pro team this year, maybe second or third team, but it wouldn't shock me if he made an all-pro team. Then you have safeties, Grant Delpit. You also have, I think, underrated. This guy went out with injury about week 10 of the season last year, and I think we felt it with Ronnie McLeod going out. Very underrated piece to this secondary. And I think Cam Mitchell getting an opportunity in camp this year because of Greg Newsome being on the PUP list for a hamstring injury, non-football. I think we're going to get an extended look at him. And I like what we've seen from him so far. And I think that there's a lot of potential for him to kind of show up and be a high-level player. This secondary is not just deep. We ain't talk about Rodney Hickman, who stepped in at the starting role and did a good job there and probably will play more because he's more of a coverage safety than Juan Thornhill is. So maybe you rotate those guys in and out and kind of get creative with it if you feel comfortable with his development in year 2. And DeAnthony Bell, who I think is a nice little sneaky playmaker that you could find a couple ways to use throughout a game. The Browns have options upon options in that secondary, and they have really good players, and not just really good players, Dave, players that fit well together.
Yeah, and I've been critical of their ability to draft and develop wide receivers. Well, one thing they can draft and develop is cornerbacks. They have shown that, and they identify it, they develop them. I know you've addressed this. Talk a little bit more about Martin Emerson, just how smart he is.
Yeah, well, if you're looking for why the Browns can draft corners so well, just look at where they put those resources at with the corners, right? We're talking about third-round pick, first-round pick. It just makes me encouraged, hey, if they do spend those resources on other positions, they will be better at it. And Martin Emerson is a great example of it, right? Third-round pick, was the first pick in that draft class. And what they have is the corner who we know is long and physical and strong. And I think we kind of glorify those traits about Martin Emerson. But what I think is underrated about him is that he's really smart. I mean, there was an interception he had in Jacksonville where he tracks this deep ball that Trevor Lawrence overthrows to the moon like Willie Mays in the outfield in the 1950s, like just tracking it, like, and then just catching it over the shoulder, getting up it and getting 20 yards on the return. He is somebody who has, I think, elite eyes for a corner. I think he has elite processing for a corner. He's not an elite speed corner guy, but he has length to make up for it. And he's strong too, and he's willing to be physical at the point of attack. And he has really soft hands for a corner. I mean, he can just get his hands on the interception, has really good instincts. I think he's a bit of a gem there, right? I think some people kind of overlooked him. Tall corner, stiff hips, doesn't run that fast, but they saw the IQ stuff, the football IQ stuff, and I think that's what allows Martin to be as physical as he is without the repercussions of being that physical. I mean, the Browns left him on an island a couple times last year, and he held up quite well against some pretty formidable names. I think Martin Emerson is really slept on as a corner in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you. He had me in one of the first preseason games of his rookie year where he just ripped the ball away from a wide receiver, just stole it from him.